Greetings and welcome to the Barbara Gentry-Pugh Show. I'm happy that you were able to join us today. And I have as my special guest, Robin West Smith. Robin, welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Barbara, for having me.
It's just been a pleasure. Ever since I've met you, I just feel like almost like sisters. We just kind of started talking and we didn't stop. And I just really admire you.
Thank you. Thank you,
all
Barbara.
of your accomplishments. And as you were sharing with me, this was, 2003 when you started your sort of second career. Probably being a wife and a mother was your first career.
That is very true, very true. When I decided to go back to school to finish my bachelor's degree, I'd said I made a promise to my mother, and even though it took me almost 30 years to keep that promise to her, I still was able to do that. And once I completed that, even though it didn't seem like, to most folks it really was that long, but going part-time and actually being married and having a family and what have you, and working full-time.
Wow.
It did take over 15 years, but once I got dedicated, once I became focused, it seemed like I was there. We were walking over into Cobo Hall and it was graduation. And I realized at that moment I couldn't stop.
Couldn't stop.
I could not stop. And so I came home that night and I told my husband, I said, I'm going to get my graduate degree. I'm going to get my master's. And he looked at me and he said, I thought you'd be happy with this. I said, yeah, I thought I would too.
And I guess what inspired me so much about you is that your dedication. After talking with you, not only does Robin have one master's, she's working on a second master's. And I just envision you having a PhD in the future because you have determination. And I saw that from the first time meeting you, that you had the determination. Robin has accomplished so much. We don't have time to talk about today all the things that she is doing and all the accomplishments. But one of the things we're going to talk about today, her being an author and being a member of the Professional Women's Network. We're going to talk about you being an adjunct professor. And then we're going to talk about your nonprofit organization so that our audience can get a good idea who Robin is all about and how you might be an asset to our audience. So first of all, let's talk about being a professor, an adjunct professor at Wayne State University. How did that all come about?
It came about because I was a very, very, I don't want to use the word persuasive, but a pain in the neck, literally, to the chair of our department. And I started pressuring him about the fact that there was not enough minority representation in the department, especially for a subject like urban studies. And his first response to me was, well, you'll have to have your master's degree. I said, all right, no problem. So when I came back after graduation, I said, so now I'm coming back to you with my master's degree. What about what we talked about teaching? So then he started hemming and hawing and telling me about funding and what have you. So 2 years went by and I kind of forgot about it. That was at that point when I started looking at another degree program. And I happened to run into him on campus, and it was so funny because the young lady that was with me was one of my classmates. I actually saw her after you and I met the other day.
Wow.
And we were walking, and he said, we ran into him. He said, you still want to do that teaching thing? I said, yes, I still want to do that teaching thing. Don't be sarcastic because I'm serious about it, So I said, Erica, you're my witness now. He said this. Well, as it were, 2 days, in 2 days it'll be my birthday. 3 years ago, I get a phone call 2 days before my birthday from the chair of the department who asked would I be interested in teaching a class. He said, well, you'd have to be at the off-campus center. I said, okay, where's that? He said, Oakland, Farmington Hills. Oh, perfect. I'm like 10, 15 minutes from there.
Wow.
He said, and you don't have a problem doing it in the evening? I said, no, because, at this point in time, I was not doing a whole lot during the day. But I said, okay, yeah, let's start that. Let's see how that goes. And, yeah, like I said, that was 3 years ago.
Wow.
The new semester starts on Saturday. This will be my 7th semester teaching urban studies to undergraduates at Wayne State University. I'm proud to say that I've gotten high marks every semester, and I've had a student following. And what saddens me is that for all of the students I've had, I don't remember everybody's name, and I like to greet people by their name. I've been able to kind of like get through that sometimes, but I've run into so many students And even if I don't remember their first name per se, I know the face.
You know the face.
Yes, and having that impact, because I tell them, I'm getting too old now. I know a lot of people going to look at me and say, she got to be kidding, right?
You got to be kidding.
But I can't do it, but I can share what I know so that maybe one of you will do it and make me proud.
Yes. Well, I know you have your first master's in urban studies, and you had talked about writing a textbook. Well, I think it's about time you get started on that textbook because of your conviction of how passionate you are about the subject. Is what I gathered from our conversation,
Yes.
that you're very passionate.
I am very, very passionate about the urban environment. And the first thing I tell my students on day one of every class, do not confuse urban with black.
Good
Urban
point.
goes so much further than that. Urban is an environment. It's about density, population. It's not about a people or a race.
Good. That's a good word for our audience, because when you think of urban, most people think of minority,
Yes.
black. And I like to always say that I'm not a minority.
Right.
Because I know who I am.
Exactly.
And I would consider myself in the minority.
Yes.
Okay, because first of all, I'm a child of the king.
Yes.
And so I think we should get away from that terminology.
And let me say, without the inspiration, without the spiritual inspiration I had as a child growing up, I know I would not be able to accomplish the things I've accomplished.
Without God. Amen. So you were sharing with me what inspired you, because all of us have some sort of inspiration, someone or something. So what inspired you after how many years before you were married, before you went back?
It had been 12, almost 13 years.
Okay.
When I first started school, like right after high school, you know, we all try that. I had a very, very negative situation occur. And without going into a lot of details into it, it left a very bad mark on me. Now, it didn't get as dangerous as it could have gotten, but just enough of a threat. And all I needed was the threat. And I cleared out of Michigan State University, my dream school, all the years, you know. And I waited. That really left a mark in me, you know. Then I had a conversation with a lady named Ella West, who happened to have been my paternal grandmother.
Okay.
And that lady told me that she had to drop out of school at 3rd grade to help take care of her siblings after her mother passed away. And I thought about that, and she said if she could have done it, if she could have stayed in school, she would have became a nurse because she loved taking care of people. I said, well, Granny, I don't know about being a nurse because I can't stand blood. I said, but I'm going to make a promise to you. Times have changed now. I can do what you couldn't do. I can go back to school. She said, and do me one favor. I said, what is that, Granny? Get the highest degree you can get.
Amen. Amen.
And that is a true conversation. That is a very true story, and that was the promise I made. And although she's not here now, that promise, I still feel that she's watching me and making sure that I keep that promise to her.
And you kept it to yourself as well.
And I kept it to myself.
You know, I think when we talked the other day, I said, I'm going to call you Miss Keep It Real. And I think you do that. And I appreciate your passion, your perseverance, just that stick-to-itness that we need to succeed. And oftentimes we don't, you know, we give up too easy. Because it's
nobody said the road wasn't going to be difficult.
Absolutely. And I want to make that message really clear. None of us, even I was an adult going back to school. And it's not easy, especially with a family and a husband. It's definitely not easy because you still are expected to be a wife.
Oh, yes. Oh, but that's a whole nother show.
We won't go into that.
Right. That's a whole nother show.
Well, let's talk about you being an author. And tell us about the Professional Woman Network. And I'm proud to say that Robin received the, help me here.
It is the
PNN.
PWN.
Yes, PWN, International Literary Award recipient. Tell us what that's all about.
Well,
High honor.
That came about from a chapter I wrote about my mother as I was watching her die of cancer. And I needed a way to relieve the pain that I was going through. And I remembered as a little girl something my mother and I used to do all the time. We used to write notes to each other. And so I reflected on that, and I thought to myself, okay, let me write this chapter, because maybe someone else is going through what I'm going through. Maybe they can benefit from this chapter. My association with Professional Woman Network, PWN, came about from a little bitty advertisement in the back of the Black Enterprise magazine.
Okay.
And it was about a workshop, learning how to train other people. And I thought to myself, okay, this sounds interesting. So I got my little pennies together, made my reservation, and drove myself to Louisville, Kentucky, and had probably the 2 most powerful days of my life. And when I say powerful, half the room was crying by Sunday and cheering at the same time. And I knew then this was the organization that could probably make a difference for me in my life. The chapter I wrote that got me the award was my 6th chapter.
Wow.
So I've co-authored 7 books.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
wow.
a variety of discussions. And most of it has just been my own personal experience that I've been able to put to pen and paper.
That always, sometimes it will help someone else, either not to make a mistake or to get through whatever they might be going through. So that's awesome. And you were sharing with me about the little lady that you met. You were sharing with me about Linda.
Linda Ellis Eastman. Linda Ellis Eastman, next to Ella West and Dorothy West, has been one of the most inspirational women I've met in my life. Linda approached me a few years ago. This was about 03, 04. And she said she said, I'm going to have the organization, we're going to start doing books. I said, okay. So I don't understand, why are you calling me? She said, because I want you to write one of the chapters for the book. I said, Linda, I can't write a chapter for a book. I've only written like technical papers and boring stuff like that. She said, yes, you can. Okay, but we kept having this discussion, and she was not taking no for an answer. So finally, I gave it up. I said, okay, fine. Then I said, okay, well, let me think about what I write. She said, no, I already know what I want you to write.
Okay.
Okay, Linda, you know what? How are you going to ask me to participate and you're giving me all the orders? Because that's Linda. That's how Linda is. And as I told you, she was the nudge. I was sitting on the fence, and she nudged me. She dared me. And as a little girl growing up, whenever I got a dare, I took it. And she dared me. She said, I dare you to write this chapter.
All right.
And the chapter, my very first chapter, is Projecting Confidence and Assertiveness.
You know, sometimes people can see in us what you can't see in yourself. And evidently she saw something. And from the little time that I've been with you, I know you have that perseverance, that endurance. You're going to stick it out.
I am. I'm not a quitter in anything. I'm not a quitter. I know that I might not always win the race, but I'm not going to quit the race.
You're going to keep trying.
I'm going to keep trying.
All right. The other thing we want to talk about is your organization.
Yes.
I was very impressed as I looked through some of the things that you were doing. Tell us about the Wade Center of Self-Development. And then I saw where it was originally named the
West Smith.
West Smith.
Yes.
And then
West
you changed
Smith,
it because of
consulting. The name change came about 2 to 3 weeks after my father passed away. And again, he also passed away of cancer in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was coming back home from a workshop, from Louisville, Kentucky. And I had my brain just like almost exploded. I had to pull up to the rest area. I had to stop and pull up to the rest area. And my hand was moving, which meant I had to write. When I know when my hand gets to moving like this, I got to write.
You got to write.
And that's when I realized that was what I came with. And I looked at it from the perspective of Wade. Now, my father was somewhat of a sexist. You know, he never believed women should be able to do certain things, right? And I said that would be the perfect name for a company about women learning how to be, as some would say, like me. The Center for Self-Development. I used Wade, and I realized it was the perfect acronym for willingness, ability, determination, and empowerment.
Wow.
All of the 4 major characteristics that I myself have,
Yes.
and that I know other women can develop. It was perfect.
It is perfect.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Not only that, it made my stepmom cry when she saw my business cards too.
Amen. Amen. So being CEO and founder of Wade Center of Self-Development, what is the main focus?
The main focus of my company is to train women to be able to find in themselves what I have been able to find in myself. It is a center. Now, there is no bricks and mortar because the center is what resides within you. It is about bringing those things out. Now, I do conduct workshops on a variety of topics, and I've actually been a little negligent to some degree because I haven't given it the focus I probably should give it to really build a business to make it profitable. But I have done some things to make me know that I'm on the right track. And every track is a process. And people have to understand that you don't just wake up and say, I'm going to go into business, and then boom, you're going to be a millionaire. It's a process.
It's a process.
Especially when you're selling an intangible good. And that's what I'm doing. I'm selling an intangible good. And people have difficulty putting a price tag on an intangible. But I do a little bit of it when I do the training for business corporations, when I teach them project management, another skill set I've developed. So I had a workshop, friend of mine's, another lady in the organization, PWN, and I held a workshop last October.
Okay.
And it was a workshop on women's issues and diversity. And there wasn't a large attendance, but we know that we have to grow little by little. So I plan to probably hold some more workshops maybe later this year.
And the best advertisement is word of mouth is still number one. And we can do advertisement, which is good. But that first workshop it'll even be bigger the next time.
As Linda so affectionately told us, when she did her first workshop, she had probably 3 women in the workshop. And that was in 1986.
Wow.
And today the organization will be 35 years old this year, 2015. And we have over 2,500 members all across the world.
I was looking at that and I was so impressed. Countries all over the world.
And these ladies come
and
for
they
that
come
weekend.
together in Kentucky.
Yes, in Louisville, Kentucky. The ladies come. We always have a contest every year to see who's come the furthest. I didn't go last year because of another commitment, but the year before, the contest winner was a lady who came all the way from Liberia.
I mean, I looking at the rollout, so to speak, on the internet. It's just amazing.
And all of these ladies come with one thing and one thing only in mind: to just share their story, to hear other stories, and to not pass judgment. That's a number one rule we have in the organization.
That is awesome.
Never pass judgment on anyone's circumstances.
That is, I mean, just to be in the presence of women from all over the world and hear their experiences.
And we all have so much in common.
Yeah, wow. And I know she also published books, Linda.
Yes. She's
the founder of the organization.
After we went through the first set of books in 03 and 04, we ended up with about, I want to say 12 books, was when she realized, ooh, we got to turn this into a real library. And I better get a publishing, leg under the company now. And so if you go to the website, pwnbooks.com, you will see the library of books. And all of our books, we have a couple of different ways of doing them. You can co-author a book along with several other people, or you can write your own book where Linda will provide you one-on-one coaching to that effect.
Wow, that's awesome. I just hope I'll have the opportunity one day to just be a part of the
I would love
workshop.
for you to come to conference. Just the difference between a workshop and the conference is that the conference is where we let our hair down.
Okay.
Now, I'm forbidden to tell the secrets of the conference because we all have our, and they say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But suffice it to say that you walk away from there tired. You get an education. Don't get me wrong. We start off the weekend. We have our little dinner party, and then we go to our workshops for Saturday morning, and then we get our afternoon, and then we have our other major event, and then we come back Sunday morning for more workshops. So you're getting an education and having fun doing it.
And just a fellowship.
Fellowship, I can't begin to tell you. I mentioned to you that I coerced, and that's the word effectively, coerced my youngest daughter into writing a chapter for one of the teen books. And when I say coerced, I basically told her, you are going to do this. This is your punishment for something she had done in school. She wrote the chapter, and when she got it back, she got the comments back from Linda, she cried. I said, now what are you crying for, Gabrielle? Ma, she liked my chapter. I said, exactly. I said, now you know what you have to do. She said, no, what? I said, now you have to come to conference with me because now the book is going to get released.
That's
and you
nice.
got it signed.
That is nice.
She was 20. She's 25 now. She's done another chapter, and she's looking at doing her own book.
Amen.
And she goes to conference with me every year.
That is so wonderful.
And
That
they
is
love
so
her
wonderful.
more than they love me. Okay? And I say that so affectionately because they call her their dance teacher.
Oh.
And this is something very special for my daughter because my daughter is not the typical dancer size. And she's been harassed about that. And that's been a very emotional battle for her. And I've watched her cope and deal with it. And I knew I could tell her so much, I could say so much about her, but I needed her to hear this from other people.
Else.
And that's why I made her come to conference with me. She's the youngest of our 4 children. Our oldest daughter is Vernette. She has 3 beautiful daughters. We have one granddaughter in college about to graduate.
All right.
And they're all going to be like, why you call us out like that? Because I love you all. And then we have another daughter named Jennifer who's married, and she lives in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
And then we have our son, and he's still searching. And I just told him when I wrote the chapter about raising African American boys, I wrote the chapter from the perspective of a stepmother, which is even a more unique position to be in.
Yeah.
But the fact of what I learned and what he's given me, and that he is the son that I've always wanted and that I love so dearly.
That is so precious.
And if he hears this, he's going to try to get something from me. He's not getting nothing from me. But the grandchildren he gave us,
that's a blessing.
oh my Lord. I have to stop for a second and share this, and this may take us a little bit off, but let me share this. I have 5 beautiful grandsons, and I could only imagine being a grandparent, dealing with what the grandparents of Michael Brown Jr. are going to be dealing with Monday. And I thought about that, and I said, this is why I have to teach urban studies. This is why I need more young people to understand we all need to get along with each other. But there's a way that we do that. I'm married to a retired police sergeant. So I understand policing. I know what he was going through every day. But I also know that our black males, they are in a serious situation. And when I being the grandmother of 5 black male children, I am so concerned that they may not have some kind of interaction that young man had in Ferguson. And so, I say that to say this. I love my son. We don't even use the word step when we talk to each other.
And it shouldn't be that way.
It should not be that way. And I think that's another reason why I wrote that chapter, because I wanted other women to understand you don't need that word. That is just the other mother, and that is your son. And I said, if I gave you $1, you're my son.
You're his son. Well, there's been so much going on, and there have been lots of books written about raising a black boy and how to do that. And so I'm just hoping that we can get more and more open conversation, more open dialogue, so that they will know what they're dealing with and what they're facing, and to be prepared for that. Because we have to just keep praying that God will, just protect them. And I have a son. I love him, and I can't imagine what the parents are dealing with.
A child is one thing. It's one thing for a parent to bury a child. It's just...
So being a professor in urban studies, you still have an opportunity to make a mark. And just being in one of your classes, I think there would be just good dialogue from the professor herself about urban studies. And it may inspire you also to write the book, a textbook.
That is still definitely on that to-do list.
Okay.
Or as some like to call it, the bucket list.
Okay.
It is there. I said one day I got up, this might have been about 2-3 weeks ago, and I decided, I said, I want to write a bestseller before I die.
And you can, and you will. And it's a journey. I've been writing a book now for several years.
Yes, it is.
And I'm just waiting and hoping by the end of the year it will be finished and released early in 2015. And it is a journey. So I'll be praying for you when you get started because it's needed. It's needed, and just to have some Black authors that can relate to the real problem of what's going on. So it's really great. So Robin, you've done so very much.
I don't see it like that. I guess
I see it, pages and pages.
I tease. I tell one of my daughters. I tell Jennifer. I say, I look so impressive on paper, but
well, you
I know that the life I've lived is just what I considered a normal life for me. It may be a little exciting for others, but it was a normal life for me. It would not have been nothing less for me.
But when you're going through it, when you're in it,
I love the journey. I love the journey. The destination's all well and good, but I love the journey. I've always loved the journey.
What you can share, what others share with you, just makes you who you are. And I can't imagine. I mean, you have such a drive and a passion and an endurance that I feel that you can not only accomplish anything, but you can inspire others.
That is what I really, really hope and pray will be the end goal in all of this. That someone can look at me and know that I will be celebrating not necessarily a, quote, milestone birthday on Tuesday, but a very, very significant birthday on Tuesday. And just that alone, and to be blessed to have had the genes that I have because I don't look like it, and I'm not going to say the age on TV, but it is something that I do with my students. It is one of my icebreakers when I walk up in the classroom after all of them have come in, and I said, okay, anybody can guess my age, they get an automatic 55 points extra credit, right? And they all sit there, and the guys especially, I could just see them scringing in their chairs because they're like, well, I know my mom taught me never to say a woman's age, right? And I said, no, this is legitimate. If anyone can guess my age, you get 5 extra points, 5 extra credit points. They never can guess it.
Never can guess it. Well, God has just blessed us as Black women with good genes.
Yes.
Thank God.
Yes.
And so we just sometimes, as my pastor said, we don't look like what we've been through. But God is good, and He's gracious, and He has kept us. So, Linda, it has just been a joy. First of all, meeting you.
Robin.
What did I say?
Linda.
Linda.
We've been talking about Linda.
Yes. It's just been a joy,
Thank
Robin,
you.
of meeting you and talking with you. And I'm inspired.
Thank you, Barbara.
And so I just look forward to seeing you finish that PhD and write that textbook. And I hope to join you at conference one day.
Thank you
so
much.
We
would love
and I'd love to meet Linda since she was on our minds.
Yes.
So thank you for being a part of the show today. And this has been the Barbara Gentry-Pugh Show. And we will see you on next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.